Ooh, what is up, everybody? Just gonna do some bank fishing. Just want to show y'all the simplest fishing there is. Weather's not been great. It's back up in the 60s. It's 60s today. I just got back from Vegas not too long ago, so I haven't fished in a minute. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's pretty rough out there. There's pretty good wind, probably about 10 mile an hour. A little gust every now and then. There's definitely some hunting going on. I don't know if the shots were gonna get picked up, but I just heard some shots, and let's see, yeah. You're rough out there on the river and the lake right here. So the river, the Cumberland's running right through there, but obviously this is part of the lake, and this is a big campground and creek back in here. So we're just gonna kind of fish the bank and see what we can do. I just got some worms. We're just gonna do live worms, tiny ultralight rod with a 1000 size Cast King spinning reel. I think this is the Zephyr, yeah, Zephyr model, and it's 4-pound tri-polymer line, high vis. You can see the yellow there. Down we got a tiny size 8 hook, octopus hook. Got a split shot with a little slip float, and then a little bit higher I've got my bobber stop. So that's it. Slip floats with a bobber stop is, I mean, that's not the way most of us probably started out. We probably started out with little clip-on floats and quick change floats. So slip floats, just a little bit more advanced. Not really, it's not advanced, it's just, it's not what most of us started out on. Most of us started out on little clip floats, slip floats that just kind of pop on your line and you clip it where you want it to be, and you go from there. But slip floats allow you to fish different depths much quicker without putting any nicks and dings in your line, taking those clips on and off. And so, especially when you're fishing with 2 and 4 pound mono, you really don't want to stress that line too much. End up losing a fish if you get one on. So let's just look around here. I've never fished here from the bank, so this is all new. A little bit of some type of vegetation. It looks like a little tree runs over there, some sticks and stuff. So we're just gonna try to catch some panfish. A lot of rocks here along this bank, and there's a couple boat docks on the other side. So we're gonna fish around this right here. Ooh, there's a tree way out there. We can't get that far, but maybe there's some bluegill or some panfish, maybe even crappie swimming along these rocks. I just don't know the depth. So we're gonna start out about 3 feet, and then we'll kind of go from there. If we don't get any bites, work this bank just a little bit and see what happens. Got our worms. They look pretty good. I've had those for over a week, maybe almost 2 weeks actually. Those worms, best thing about these worms is right there, no refrigeration needed. So I just leave these out in the garage. It doesn't get too cold out there, and they don't have to go in the fridge, because if you're putting live worms in your fridge in your house, your old lady might get a little mad at you. So advise not to do that. All right, slide our bobber stop up. So now it's about there. It's about 3 feet. We got our worm on. I just hooked him once. I want a little bit bigger of a profile starting out. There we go. Now what we're gonna do is just open the bell, pitch it out there. Again, we're fishing about 3 feet, so we're gonna let that sink, because we do not know the depth out here. Oh, there was a bite right away, so that's good. There's something out here. It's gonna be hard to see that little bobber from the camera, because it's about 20 feet out from us. It's gonna have to go under for me to even to see a bite, because the waves, when it's wavy like this, choppy, that's gonna bounce around quite a bit. So Best way to see is if it gets pulled under or if your line starts getting pulled. I think we're getting one now, but they ain't taking it. Could be some small fish. Yeah, let's check our worm. Worm's still good. Another thing you do with these worms is go ahead and get your line there, slap them against the water, and they'll kind of coil up, and you can just helps kind of keep them a little stiff, and when you're pitching and casting, it'll help a little bit. What we're doing right now is just kind of letting that drift as much as it will with the wind. Let the wind do the work and kind of work that worm out that way. Now that, I wasn't sure if it was a fish or not. I just lost sight of it. It's a little cold today with the wind, even though we're right around 58 something. My legs are, I wore shorts. So I'm not very warm. It's just a quick little lunch trip. Pop them against the water, see how it kind of coils up there. That'll just help your cast. I'm gonna throw it that way and let the wind work it in. Don't need a good hit though, because the way the wind is pushing the line, it's not in our favor to keep that slack out. But I'm just gonna slowly reel as it moves, as it's drifting around. And it's so hard to, I mean, it's about 20 yards from us right now, so it's pretty far out there. I can't really see it too great. Don't think we're getting fish on it. I don't feel a nibble, but that bobber sometimes looks like it's going underwater. But it also could just be how choppy it is right there. But it kind of set under for a second. Looked like it, like right now. Right. No, not doing it. Anyways, it went under. It's hard to say if it was a fish or maybe we got snagged on something. Nothing there. We did lose the worm, so something, I think something was playing with it, nothing else. Get back in here. I'm gonna keep using whole worms for now. Only reason I'm doing that, you don't have to do it. When you're fishing for small fish, that big old worm is too much. But the only reason I'm doing that now is because we just got started and we don't know where any fish are. So to locate the fish, a bigger worm can kind of help you detect the bites, and then you can start tipping the hook and fishing smaller bait. Again, we have no idea what this looks like out there. The depth, none of that, no clue. We were fishing blind, just going old school. But this is as simple as it gets. And this is just do want to show y'all the what gear we're using. So this is just a Bass Pro Panfish Elite ultralight 6'8" fast action rod, and we've got a Cast King 1000 size reel on it with 4-pound tripolymer line from Cast King. So out there on the other end, we've got a size 8 octopus hook, little bitty worm, a bobber, a split shot, and a bobber stop, and that's it. That is all we're using. See that worm? How he's just dangling, and I don't know if he's showing too good, but take it and just kind of, you pop him and he coils up into like a little spring or a ball, and that'll help you with your casting. Keeps everything tighter and makes them a little bit more compact. That is a fish, but he just had the tail end of that worm. We might work our way back in a little bit more of the still water back there. Well, it's not still water. Might work our way back in that little pocket right there. Water's a little calmer, out of the wind. I'll have to check if we even got a worm left. There he is, come on, take it. He just barely pulled it. Just a little bitty guy messing with that worm. Excuse me. Pop him again. See how he coils up. Go back in that same little spot and see if we can't get him this time. Probably have to start tipping the hook. That whole worm's way too big for what we're here for. So we're probably not gonna have much luck fishing a whole worm. There's a bite. They just got that worm. That worm's too big is all it is. All right. Since we've located a couple fish, here's what we're gonna do. Just kind of tear that worm at the size you need him at. And this is even still a little big. I don't know if you can see it too good, but just hook him in the middle there, and that way if the worm comes, or if the fish comes up and swallows him, that hook's gonna be right there in the strike zone. There was a bite. I felt a little bit better that time as far as bite detection with the smaller worm. There he is again. Take it, come on buddy. There we go. Little tiny old guy, but that is how simple it is and how simple it can be. Tiny little bluegill. He's bright. Got some bright old color on him. Look at that. Right inside the mouth. Easy to pop out. Back he goes. Just gonna put our worm a little bit closer to the hook. May thread it on there twice since it's a little big for what I like. There we go. So now, got our hook tipped with a little bitty worm. Go back in that same spot, around it, see if we can't find anything bigger. I'm hitting it. Just peck, peck, peck. Little tiny old guys. That's all we're gonna find right there, I think. Even smaller. Like a 2.5, 3 incher. A little bitty guy. But they're feeding and they're here around these rocks. So again, rocks are always a good place to fish around. We're gonna try to fish a little tighter those rocks now. There's a hit. The wind can make it hard to be a line watcher when it's blowing like it is right now. It's got my line off, thrown to the side. All right, let's check our worm. We have a little bump. Still good. Nothing tighter in. Let's go back out there. It's got to be something good size in here. At least a respectable bluegill would be nice. Ah, one of them had it. Missed him. Okay. All right, y'all. I can't see out there hardly 5 feet in front of me. So we're fishing totally blind. Just old school worm and bobber. Keeping it simple. This is as simple as it can get fishing. And my recommendation, and what a lot of guys will tell you, is that, you know, when you're starting, rod and reel, it doesn't really matter. I mean, just get out there and get to fishing. But if I had to give you my thoughts and opinions from my experience, so my starter guide for fishing would be an ultralight rod or a light rod. Ultralight to light with a fast action tip. Anywhere from 6.5 to 7, 7.2, 7.6 would be where I would go. 6.5 is perfect. 6, 8, 7 foot, all of them are good sizes. That longer rod will give you a little bit more distance on your cast, so that's also something to keep in mind. But things like that are things that, you know, the beginner fisherman is not going to think about. And kids, you know, when they're starting out, they're not going to sit and think about things like that. But the more you fish, the more you learn, and obviously you get comfortable with different things and different styles, different equipment. But for small fish, I mean, I could land a 10-pound channel cat on this rod. I could land probably a 20-pound channel cat on this rod, depending on how hard they hit. And this is an ultralight, so is the rod important? Yes. The line, I would say, is more important than any of it. If you've got 2-pound mono and you get a 10-pound channel cat or an 8-pound channel, or a carp hits it all of a sudden, they're probably going to snap that 2-pound mono, that 4-pound, unless you know how to work the fish. And so if you're beginning to fish or curious on, you know, fishing for lighter fish, you know, smaller things, bluegill, crappie, smaller bass, even shore fishing, off docks and catching, you know, sheep's head, stuff like that in the ocean or bays, and salt water, you can get by with an ultralight to a light action rod. I would probably go light to medium for salt water, and then for fresh, I'd stick to ultralight or light action rod. Haven't had a single bite in a minute. Let's go back here out of the wind a little bit more. Maybe there's something, maybe they're in a hole back here. Kinda, oop, I don't have boots on, so I'm not gonna walk through all that water. I'm just in my Nikes today. All right. A little wet, that's all right. Yeah, see, it's a lot calmer back here, but there's some sticks right there. There's still tons of rock coming out. So we're okay. It's about 15, 20 feet from the bank. Let's see what we can, maybe we can pull something out of there. Missed him twice. We're gonna pitch it back up in there. Don't think that's a bite. I'm mostly watching the bobber, because it's so windy I can't really watch the line and rely on it, because they could be hitting it and not pulling enough slack out of the line, and we'll miss them. There was a tick. Felt that one on the rod. Oh, he had it. That was a good one. One other little thing you can do is put your finger on the rod itself, not the handle, not the grip. Put your finger right there, and if you get a good bump, a good bite, you'll feel some vibration. You'll feel a little tap in that rod. There's something over there. There's a few things. That was a good fish that hit that first time. We just didn't hook him. I didn't mean to go out that far. See, I like to keep my finger right there. Oh, there he was. I missed him. I was talking. Right there on the rod. Keep a finger. There's several of them in there. There's another bump. Come on, baby. That wind's just so hard to watch the line. Having to keep an eye on the bobber and see, it's harder to. We better check the worm. Tore one side of him off, so they're hitting it good. Just not taking it. Missing the hook, and I mean, I still have a little bit too big of a piece of worm for smaller fish. I could probably downsize it just a little bit and have better hookup ratio here. Turtle right there by our bobber. They ate half the worm, so our bait's a little smaller now, so that's fine. It's a good thing, actually. If there's nothing big in here, then we need a small bait to get our hooks in these little fish. Come on. Really looking for something good to pull it under. I'd like to feel a good heavy bite. All right, let's go ahead and put another worm on. A little fresh one. A little windy. I am going to tear them in half. We only need half that size worm, even for a good size bluegill to hit. I'm going to thread him on this time instead of leaving him dangling, if I can get a hold of him. He's a little hard to hold. I didn't thread too good, but that should work just fine. Let's get it back out there. Got a big bite right there, somewhere about 10 to 15 feet out. I don't know what the depth is, but I don't think we're hitting bottom, so it's got to be somewhere around 3 to 4 feet. So it's a pretty good little slope. That one went under. They just ain't hooking. I think they're just small fish. When you got real small fish, you need small baits, small hooks. Let's check, make sure the worm is still there. Broke half of them off. And see, that little bitty piece right there is enough to get you a bite. If they can see it and detect it, then You can get you a fish with just that little bitty worm. You just got to find them. You can catch a good size bluegill or red ear with just a little bitty piece of worm. You just got to find them and get it in front of them. And that's our challenge here, is we don't have insight to what's going on out there. All right, well, we know we got a little low right there, pulling up leaves off the bottom. Go ahead and put a new worm on though. I want these bigger ones. Okay. It's good when they're lively. When you got a lively worm, that does help if they're in there kind of kicking around a little bit. All right, so we'll go back out there. Yeah, 15, 20 feet. There he is. A little bit better than the first two, but still small. Nothing big, a little 5-inch bluegill. They are pretty, but no big ones today, not yet. There we go. Simple, effective, cheap. That is all we're doing. You can pick you up a $15 rod from Walmart, a cheap combo for 25, 30 bucks, a little pack of bobbers and some worms. You can dig worms up, which I have done. I have flipped rocks and grabbed a worm before. It's just convenient for these. This whole box of worms about $3 or $3.50 at Walmart. That was a good little hit. We only got a few more minutes. I got to get on out of here. That feels better. There we go. Now that's a better size bluegill, a little respectable. Puts a 6, maybe, yeah, 6 inch, maybe 6.5. He's pushing 7, but he's pretty. Look at that gold yellow on his belly. All right, that's the kind of size I was after. Those are a little bit more fun to catch. These first ones were not that great. The wind's picking up, so I'm not staying much longer because it is the temp is dropping. We got a cold front moving in. It is December. We're gonna go whole worm and throw it out there and let it see if there ain't anything bigger that can rip that whole thing in there. That's out about 20 yards from here. I mean, that's pretty far out there. See if we can't pull something out of there. We just had a bite. There he is. Come on. Yep, bigger one out there. Now that's a 7-inch bluegill. Kidding. Let's go back to that same spot. Pretty far out there. 20 yards. It's hard to see that bobber that far. There he is. What we got? Ooh. That's a shad. That would be some good bait. Look at that. Threadfin, I think. Dang. Hadn't caught one of those on a worm in about 1.5 years. Look at him. Pretty cool. He would be good bait. But we ain't fishing for anything else today. Get you back in there, boy. You ate that worm good. We just got a little bitty worm on there. Now we're down to a tiny little piece. But we're gonna throw back out there. Must be a school of stuff out there about 20 yards. Keep your finger on that rod tip. Keep your eye on the bobber. Goes under, it went under, just missed him. Come on. One more fish and we'll call it. The wind's picking up. I'm not really dressed for this. Alright, let's put a worm on there first though. I think we're probably getting nothing because we're pretty much down to nothing on our hook. Definitely want to track those bigger ones too. Unless we get it right in front of their face, we're not going to hit those bigger ones. I can go back to a whole worm though. At least a good half. Okay. Put that in there. Got him hooked. I'm going to double him over just because he's so big. Alright, there we go. Now, with that long tail end hanging off, we are likely to get some hits and misses here, but just maybe they'll grab the right end of him. About 20 yards out, just kind of letting it sit and float, waiting for it to go under. I don't like that spot. Let's go back out. Remember, pop him against the water. He'll kind of coil up, gets a little bit more tighter together, helps you cast. Still ain't far enough out. We've been hitting them farther. Come on. I want to get it back out there. We're having some better luck hitting them on as far out there as we can get it. It's about 20-25 yards and it's pretty far out. There, I think we just had a hit. I still see the tip of the bobber, just barely. I don't think the camera's gonna show it at all. Oh man, there it was. Might have lost our worm on that one. Okay. Same spot. Finger on that rod. It's a good hit. You'll feel him. That went under. Just missed it. That bigger worm on there, again, it's sometimes you're gonna miss them. There was a pull under. Come on. Let's check our worm. We had two hits, maybe low or out. Pretty much out. Yep.
So they took our worm. So don't leave it out there for too, if you get a hit or you get snagged, don't leave it out there sitting idle for too long. You are likely just to be fishing with nothing. If you got some good hits, it's best just to go ahead and just check it. My experience, 9 times out of 10, I've been robbed. The bait's gone. So there we go. That's good out there. Wonder what the depth is. It's got to be 5-6 feet right there, maybe. I'd expect at least 5 foot. Oh man, we had one. I'm reeling it back in because he might have stole the worm too. That thing went good. No, still got the worm. Perfect. So they're out there in that same little spot, 25 yards out. I think we got him. What do we got? Got a little bit of pull to him. Dang, they're out there. I wish I was going bass fishing. These are some good shad. Look at that. Shiner, whatever. I think this, I don't know what people call these. Actually, I thought it was a yellowtail, but his tail don't look too yellow. Maybe it's just a golden shiner. I know it's not a gizzard shad. But that's the second one. I wish I was keeping them or catching bait to go fish with. All right, we're gonna go back out there around the same spot. A little farther to the right this time. Gotta be probably bass around there, I would assume. All right, let's go ahead and come on. Let's catch one on our last cast here. Oh, that is not where I wanted to go. Don't feel good about it, but let's see. Finger on the rod. Slowly reel her in. Eye on the bobber. There he is, last cast. Not a giant, little 4 or 5 inch bluegill. Take a look at him and then we gotta get out of here. Let's pop that out. Right in the side, but I can't get the hook turned, boy. There we go, come on, pop out. It's in the top of his roof of his mouth. There we go, got it turned. There he is. All right, I gotta go, but that is it. Whew. Oh man, get back to the truck. Well, all right, y'all, that's it. I mean, it is, I don't need these, sun ain't out. Whew, it's that simple. Ultralight rod, small reel, small line, small tiny hook, some worms,
that's about all you need. I'll put links in the bottom to exactly the gear that I'm using. It's fun. Get out there and catch some bluegill. You know, different panfish. I enjoy it. I like catching anything, so this was just a quick lunch break trip. That's all I had to fish. I haven't fished in a minute for traveling, so that was fun to do. But yeah, that's it. That is all there is to fishing. That is all there is to catching anything from the bank. And you can adapt that. You know, you could put chicken, shrimp, cut bait, dough bait, stink bait on a slightly bigger circle hook, like a 1/0, 2/0 circle hook. For catfish, you could throw it out there without the bobber or with a bobber. They'll hit it on a bobber. Catfish will hit it suspended. So throw that out there. Put your rod in the ground, a rod holder, find a rock to prop it up on. You can catch catfish from the bank with just worms and a hook, bobber, and a rod. So just got to locate them. That's the thing. If they're in the area, you got the bait out there, you're doing all you can to catch them. So you just got to hope they bite. But anyways, not the prettiest day. Overcast, cloudy, and windy, and rough out there. I thought about going on the boat tomorrow, but I think there's some storms coming in. So we're definitely not doing that, especially if it's like that, because I wanted to go in the river, but that's just too much. So, any rate, thanks for watching, and catch you guys on the next one.